my friends! I am the Dungeon Tutor at your service. Welcome! Today we have a fun topic from RPGaDay. Today being the 12th day. The question is, what's an RPG with well-supported campaigns? Now, I'm going to unfortunately cheap out, because normally I would love to throw out another role-playing game and something that maybe you don't encounter all the time. But quite honestly, most role-playing games really do put out their rules, and they might have a world book of some sort to give you the deeper lore and such. But as far as well-supported, with everything you need to run the game, I can't say that most of them pass, because my litmus test is very exacting. So I'm going to go with my default. And it's not going to be terribly exciting because it is 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. But here's the thing. What I'm going to propose is this is a particular campaign that is not made by Wizards of the Coast, who owns Dungeons and Dragons. No. This is from a little tiny company that dreamed big and put out some of the finest role-playing game materials I've ever seen. And I'm not saying that because the way they're structured and the way they open their arms to the community, they have published work that I have done. I'm saying this because objectively, their stuff is beautiful, it's finely made, and it is an excellent resource for anybody looking to start up a campaign. This is not a wide open, make the whatever you feel like and go. This is a curated story that supports every element of gameplay as much as is physically possible. The only thing that you could do to make this thing more immersive, more well supported, would be to provide, say, all the miniatures that you would need, or even standees for all the figures. I've seen that before, and that's fine. Many of those actually come from Dungeons and Dragons as well. But in this particular case, they go further, and I'm going to show you why. So, the campaign I'm talking about is called the Red Star Rising campaign from Gooey. I have run this adventure, so I can vouch for everything in it that I'm about to talk about. Why is this so well supported? In a standard adventure, standard campaign, say, if you get any other thing that's produced by Dungeons and Dragons owner, Wizards of the Coast, you will get a hardcover book. Pretty good. It will be completely full of step-by-step what's going on in the story. All the unique creatures and characters all have their own stats. Unique magical items that you can find in that adventure are listed in their own appendix. These stories are very well formatted so that you can follow along the adventure. You can see every room illustrated. The maps are clear and concise. They're fine. They work just fine. They are exactly what a game master might need, who is not afraid to put some extra work into the game. Drawing out maps for their players to explore, perhaps, or printing things off the internet so that your players have something to hold on to and take a look at. You can add all kinds of fun bits, or you can go to a company like Beadle & Grimm's, who make stuff from plushies to 3D coin components, badges, and whatnot for your adventure to influence it a little bit. That's all fine, that's all well and good, and those Beadle & Grimm things can cost you some money. What does Gooey bring to the table? The adventure is a bit expensive, but why? Because it's not just a book. First of all, the Red Star campaign right now has 5 segments. Each one of them comes in one of these boxes. It's a fairly decent sized box. This is the first one, the Darkest Dream, and it is the smallest. They get bigger. In some cases, they're going to get quite big, and they're heavy. You're looking at a lot of paperweight in here. Now, this box is not completely full, and there's a good reason for that, because this doesn't have everything that came with it. I'll show you why. But it's still, as you can see, pretty stocked. Why is that? Because you get a couple of things. First of all, as I said, this is not an adventure where you just create your own character and go, because it's curated. Your characters are pre-generated into the world. These beautiful character sheets. Each one of them having your background of your character and special secrets that only you know. On the back are all the stats, everything that you would need to run the character for D&D. And because Gooey supports their stuff digitally, they can all be reprinted out too. So, You get characters that are custom made for that adventure. Can you make your own? Yes. They have all the rules they use to create these characters, and a player and a game master working together can make their own characters. But these are all set into the world, and there's a couple of things that are interesting about the Gooey Cube world of Xayathay that make these characters particularly poignant. The biggest one being they belong to a troupe of, effectively, if you want to think of magical gypsies, it's kind of like that. They are obviously outcasts from society. They are, harassed and barely tolerated. But it goes even beyond just they come from a particular bloodline that is despised. Many of the people who belong to this troupe have what's called a blood touch, which is a magical mutation that gives them power, but does change their bodies in ways that's difficult to hide. So many of these characters themselves are blood touched. They make it difficult to engage in society that's very, very prejudiced against those with blood touch. Can you make that yourself? Yes. Gooey Cube has a couple of other books out, including the Encyclopedia Xayathica, Volume 1, Weirded World, which does explain the blood touches and the powers that you can get as you go along, and how they kind of change your body and, further mesh you into this world. So that's cool. But a lot of games have pre-gen characters, right? Maybe not with this degree of customization, giving you a background, a thing to work for. Remember, this is a campaign. Those goals that you have to work for are something that you can interweave throughout your entirety of the gameplay, which in this campaign is probably going to go to about 7 or 8 levels. Does that sound like much? No, but, well, this is one thing that, again, this is to enjoy the experience, not necessarily the manic need to level up quickly. So the pacing is pretty slow. But that allows you to spend a lot of time in the skin of your characters without worrying about shooting up to superhuman levels right away. Pacing is ridiculously slow for some people, but my players have become converts and they understand. There's a lot of gaming to be done in those early levels that many other campaigns just skip by as quickly as they can. Whether that's to your taste or no, that's up to you. But if you give it a chance, it can actually be a lot of fun. Furthermore in this first one has explanations on their philosophy and why they make the characters the way they do, why the characters are so beefy at first level, and why they level up so slowly. That's all a valid thing to ask and to answer. So, we get into the characterization. Now we come to the game itself. The game itself is on 2 separate books. A GM reference book, which has all the monster stats, all the various encounters, and a lot of background lore that only the Game Master should really have anything to do with. And then there is the adventure book. This is the storyline of the book. What goes where and why. And it's all referenced according to various maps so that you can follow along easily. This reads a little bit like a novel. There's all kinds of elements because it is a curated adventure. It does show the story points and constantly advises the Game Master on the resources that they have from non and fully lethal, not so random encounters. Rather than just rolling a die and seeing what comes up, the Game Master can read the room and put in the encounters that will make the adventure more engaging and gripping for the players. So that's kind of a neat idea, and again, a variance from the way some other games have played. Another thing, portrait cards. This is something I love. All of the NPCs, just about all of them, with very few exceptions throughout the entirety of the campaign, have a portrait card showing the art for the character that the Game Master can put forth when they are showing that character to the players. It grips the mind, it shows them what their characters see, and sometimes a lot about the NPC that your characters are meeting that you can intuit from just looking at the wonderful art portraits that they include. Some of them are wonderful and beautiful. Some of them are ugly, loathsome, oftentimes for the ugly and loathsome characters, but not always. Sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover. And as you progress through the adventure, you as a Game Master will have tons of resources to throw and show your players exactly who they're meeting, and feel free to give them all voice. The back of the sheet has notes on the character and what they know and what they want. And quite literally in this one, I think there's over 60 some portraits. Some of them are quite fetching and do catch the imagination quite easily. So these are an amazing resource. One that I absolutely do adore Gooey Cube for providing. Every single one of them has some. And if you get into the second one called The Foulest of Spirits, it's got, I think, even more. So much that your characters are going to encounter and is going to be presented before your players as just a part of the package. So that already seems pretty cool. Also, I know I've got them here somewhere. So much stuff. You get a deck of cards. All of the magical items, and some of the not magical but still very cool items, have their own cards. So when your players find them, you can give them the card. They can hold on to it to remind them that they have it, and they can refer to the powers on the back. That's a nice touch. Other games have done this. It's not unique to Gooey Cube, but as I said, just about everything has a card, which gives you, as a game master, the ability to sit back and say, okay, here you go. You don't have to keep asking me questions. You have the card. Another cool thing, Gooey Rewards. Another deck of cards. Instead of giving inspiration, which some people may not think is all that exciting, and, you know, it's true, having a one-size-fits-all reward scenario for people role-playing well may not be that exciting. Something like a Gooey Reward, which is a little less valuable than a full-on bit of inspiration, but you can give these out fairly liberally. Give the players all kinds of things, like advantages to their saving throws, or to initiative, or to an attack roll. The ability to make another attack can be nice. An extra permanent hit point added onto your total. I don't know anybody who doesn't get excited about something like that. Temporary hit points. Basically that buffer of that you take against oncoming damage. Yeah, you can just slap some on with the right card. Let's see. Or another fun one, like the ability to have a hero point, where you can win on your own terms and dictate, almost to a ludicrous level, what is actually going to happen. It's a super advantage, but still something that Gooey Rewards do provide, which is an element that I myself have embraced when running their products. The last thing, though, to me, and the best by far, this shows the level of support. If I just stop right now, that's a lot that they give to a game master and to players running this adventure. But this is what puts it over the top, by far. This is the handout selection. And the reason I have pulled it out and I've got it in its binder is because I want to use this again and again and again. These handouts include maps. The game takes place in a carnival, and therefore you have a map. Not just a map for the players, map for the game master with all the keynotes and everything, so you can find where everything is. That's extraordinarily nice. This also includes dungeon areas, so that those are all mapped out. Is it as useful if they were play-size maps? Perhaps not. But there's still everything that a game master might need. Most adventures don't have play-style size maps. This is no exception, but they're still extremely useful. And the fact they have player ones means that you could, say, cover up elements of those maps and reveal them as your players go through, so that you have a fog of war situation. Other than that, though, every place in this adventure has a handout showing you what your characters see. And that is incredible. This is something nobody else does. Flat out. Nobody else shows this level of detail. And there's something about watching a monster charging that you can describe all day long, and that's great if you have a skill with words, but sometimes a picture just sets the mood. Sometimes the pictures absolutely ramp up the tension, foreshadow what's coming, get your players' hackles up, and in some cases can show you absolutely horrible things in their native environment. Try to avoid the glare, thank you. As the things that hunger for your blood come forth. These also are excellent handouts to make riddles more manageable in a fair fashion for your players to attack and appreciate, because they're seeing what their characters see, which makes those things a lot more fair than if you're just describing what they see. Also ramps up the sense of achievement, because you see that your characters would be in a particular situation, and by stepping into their shoes, you are able to, again, just kind of get that extra sense of connection. And not everything is horrible. Sometimes there are absolutely beautiful creatures, too. And that is faithfully portrayed in these handouts. So if you're looking for something that is going to be absolutely connected to support and making sure that your players enjoy a scenario to its absolute utmost, then incorporating strange and magical vistas and pictures for them to see, yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, I understand that some people will go and say something like, well, if you have an AI art program, you can get all of that. You could, I suppose. But all of this is art that's been made by a real person, paid for, and provided for this adventure. All of it meets the theme, the feeling that your characters would be in, and is absolutely amazing to play through. And to run. I've seen both sides of it. So, this is something I hope you think about, take a look at if you are looking for that well-supported campaign that going forward could be your favorite campaign that you've ever done. It certainly is for me. So, glad I could show it to you. And that takes us to the end of this video, which has been a bit longer, but I hope you've enjoyed it. So I do thank you for joining me. This has been a wonderful thing into something I very much believe in. And I hope going forward that you might find some interest in all kinds of Gooey Cube things if you like 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, including a fun little holiday adventure for the upcoming holiday season called Strangely Gooey Holiday, which I wrote. So that's there too. But really, my friends, I do thank you for joining me, and I do hope that you enjoyed this enough that you consider liking, subscribing, and notifying yourself from my future releases. And share this with other people if you really want to see somebody get excited about a campaign. I will happily be in front of anybody on this video talking about how good Gooey Cube's products can really be. And I do hope, more than anything else, perhaps you leave a comment talking about your experience. What's the best supported campaign you've ever dealt with? It'd be really cool to hear your ideas as well. But I do hope to see you again, because I keep making videos, and I will make others for you to see. So I hope you enjoyed those too. And in the times to come, I hope that you, yes, you, have a chance to roll some dice, to play some games, to have some fun. But stay safe out there, my friends. Until that next time, farewell.